Hello, everyone. Being a mom that juggles a career, strong spiritual practice, children, and husband that is one. Ew, a bookie. Okay, let's go here. Needless to say, it is somewhat difficult, somewhat where did I get cut off before you handed me your booger? Oh, my husband. He is retired military at 100% pension, 100% medically retired. So there's those medical issues that you juggle as well when you're married to someone who has a disability. You know, I'm right there in the same boat. I have my illnesses and my disease. I just was in the military and I had the ability and I have the ability to keep working. So I'm the one that works. He's the stay-at-home. But needless to say, that's a lot to juggle, right? And I like to pursue alternative medicine, and I like to talk about it. So I'm normalizing these things that are just not normalized, that have a taboo, negative mindset or negative annotation to the public. I like to be real. I like to share so other moms out there can relate and be like, oh my God, this does happen. I'm not. Thank you for covering your mouth. I'm not the only one in this boat. Oh, girl. No, you're not. Or dude, if you're the dad. So it is a hard thing, but it's something I take serious because I've been doing it for over 10 years. I've had several channels shut down because I promote things that are very alternative, and Big Pharma very much against it, any kind of pro videos on it. So I've had to rebuild this a lot. I've had channels over 10,000 subscribers, and I've had to start from scratch several times. And if you're very familiar with the scene, then you know that it's a struggle and it's a constant battle. But I do it because there's so many of you that have been following me for over 10 years, many of you, many years, that really value and kind of rely on my videos for like therapy in a sense, but like knowing that you're not the only one that is juggling a lot of these things or going through a lot of these things and wanting to self medicate in a sense with natural alternatives, and you rely on the information I have to share. And it's always my viewpoint, it's always my 2 cents, it's always just this is what I do. I'm not pushing it, I'm not saying go do this. I'm sharing a lifestyle that many of you can either look and critique, which there's so many people that follow me just to critique or stalk me. I have exes that have no life. That's all they do. And his family. But it's one or the other. But those are views that I get, and I don't mind having people with different viewpoints or maybe not even on the same boat as me. The nice thing is they're listening and they're open-minded, which is good, because it's pretty scary if you close your mind to something. You always need to have an open mind, always, because there's always something to learn. There's always an opportunity to adjust your thought, because we're not always going to get it on point straight away. It's not always going to be the case. We're always evolving. Even science evolves. Even history changes. Things get dug up that they didn't find before and changes the whole narrative of some history we've been taught. Every life is ever changing. So we need to also be ever changing. But one thing I have been focusing more on with the change of the season, the eclipse really did a number. I had a lot of people come out of the woodworks in my past, right on time, right when I expected it to happen. A lot of people just wanted to pursue me after years of just not being around. Or things crossed paths and we ended up, many of the situations just we couldn't avoid it. But that's a part of the eclipse. That is literally why I study the stars, just like the Three Kings did, because you find answers and you find solutions and you find stories that are evolving that you want to know about, that you want to be involved in. And it's not telling the future. It's not saying this is what's going to happen. It's literally spiritual realm and that thin veil between the two of us. And sometimes it slips through in a lot of different things, especially energies, vibrations. A lot of the things that are so surpass our simple knowledge is literally a part of that other side. And that's why it's so hard to comprehend. And we know it's there. Many of us that are very spiritual or understand that there's a power out there greater than us. We understand that thin veil, and we can kind of sense when, things are just not going right. Like, man, I'm off today. I'm just off. And there will be reasons for it, and sometimes it won't make sense as to why you're off. And it is simply because of those energies and the spiritual realm, and whatever's happening on the other side is going to filter in on our side, right? I don't believe in multi-dimensional shit. I believe that there is a spiritual world, another side of things that we just can't see because we are in our human form, right? Our body, we're living life here, and eventually we'll go on to the spirit world, right? And I'm not going to go into my beliefs, but anyway, that's kind of how I see it. So naturally, because we have a soul, we have a spirit, we can sense some of the things that are going on. And if something's happening on the other side that is intense, the energies, the cosmos is shifting, and people that study this know, okay, things are going to get intense around this time. You're going to, things are going to be very emotional around this time. It's amazing how spot on it is. And that's the only reason I started studying and diving deeper in it, because it was so spot on. And I knew that with the biblical connections that astrology has, and then I studied deeper into the Kabbalah and deeper into how the origins of astrology really did come from the Hebrew roots. I really dove in head first. Because I already grew up Christian. I was already very knowledgeable on that side of things to begin with. So it wasn't a far jump for me to do, the complete 180. But one thing that really helps me juggling all that is staying grounded and kind of, how you wake up, if you're like me and with similar life situations, you usually will wake up, check your calendar, what's on your calendar today, what's your schedule like. It could include work and personal life, right? Drop off the kids if you do that. Go to work, you have this assignment, this grant due, this thing needs to be done, this procurement, this whatever contract. You have those deadlines that you work with, and you follow it on the calendar. I do that, plus I do the cosmos calendar. So I know, okay, the energies today, yeah, that makes sense. I'm already kind of not feeling it today. So I'm going to be extra patient because I already know I'm super irritable today and it's going to get worse based on the forecast. So I'm going to try to curb my attitude a little bit more, or be more patient than I otherwise would, because I know I'm going to be more prone to this or this or this. And that's how you really have the best day you can, because you are being proactive and putting yourself in a situation where you will not fuck up as much if you otherwise didn't know, right? So if I get the sense that, okay, I'm going to run into people that I really don't want to run into today, I will mentally prepare for that possibility, because that's kind of what the cosmos is saying is in the forecast. So I'm going to prepare for it. If it happens, I'll be ready. If it doesn't, great. I was still ready. That's what I did with the eclipse. I knew that there would be people coming back to my life that I've not talked to in a long time, and just like clockwork, it happened. I was prepared for it. It was still fucking annoying. It was still stressful. It was still whatever, but I was not as triggered as I otherwise would have been if I wasn't trained to prepare for those things. And it really does help with juggling as much as I do. Keeping that practice in place, keeping that routine helps me stay grounded and sane and prepared, which helps everything else flow nicely. Helps me be a better mom with a better attitude, more patience. Sometimes we're not perfect. It helps me be aware of, yeah, my husband's probably going to piss me off today. Rough relationships are going to be a challenge today. So, expect for him to be a raging asshole and whatever. That's nice things to be aware of, right? If you were to know and have some heads up on those kind of things, life would be amazing. People are really surprised that does actually exist. And it's not your stupid horoscopes you see at the end of Cosmos or Cosmopolitan. That's mainstream media bullshit that's been twisted and mainstreamed, and Hollywood spin to it. But that's not what it really is. That's not what I study. That's not what astrology truly is. It's a lot more customized, a lot more unique. You can't just summarize it easily to an Aries or a Capricorn or Pisces. You have to narrow it down. Like, one shoe does not fit all, as much as the mainstream media pushes. It's not. And even on YouTube, there's a lot of people that do Aries readings or whatever. And a lot of it, you have to filter. Some people are really talented and they have the gift, and they're connected more to you than another person would have been. So you really have to filter those channels and find the person that really has the same friends that your spirit friends have. Is the best way to explain it. Like, my mother's passed on, right? In a sense, maybe this woman who has her YouTube channel where she's doing these astrology for Aries, which I am, her passed on relative is probably friends with mine. And that's why we're so connected, and her interpretations are so on point. That's the best way to explain what it means to find someone who's in tune. That's what I mean by in tune. The spirit realms are more connected between the two of you. That doesn't mean that the other people don't have a gift as well, and good, and focus on how to tell those stories to the public. I'm not there. And it is draining. I've done it before with friends and family, and it's a draining thing because you really have to get off of yourself and read other people. It's like how drained you feel after fighting with somebody because you're totally focused on this other person and the issues that kind of this person is bringing in the argument, and it drains you. The same applies to people that read astrology for people on the internet or for clients or whatever. It drains you. And it's not really in a bad way, but it's still draining. It's still exhausting. So I'm not one that has the time or the energy for that. I do it every once in a while for people I know. I do it for clients, but for a full-time committed YouTube channel, hell no. It would be too draining. But yes, find somebody who does seem very connected to you and where you are in your spiritual journey, and the one that is more accurate. That is also like a morning tradition. I usually end the day in my bed watching some videos for Aries from my two favorite astrologers that really are very on point with at least me. And they talk about the week ahead, or they talk about the next day energies or whatever, and they're really on point. And it's like watching the news at the end of the day, or watching the news first thing in the morning for like traffic alert or weather. It is literally the same thing, but for your spiritual journey and cosmos world side of things. That really helps. It helps things flow. It helps things go nicely and organized. And no, by no means is it perfect. There are curveballs that happen every day, all the time. You never know when a kid's going to get sick. That shit's not forecasted. If you notice that, it's never really something that talks about. I don't know what this one is. Oh, there. No? No. Oh, okay. I don't know, baby. You do this. So those things are still going to happen that are not going to fully prepare you, right? That's how I juggle. That's how I keep things sane. And another thing I rely on when you live with a disease or an illness and you're struggling with your mental or not mental, well, sometimes. When you live with chronic pain, constant, nonstop, dull, achy pains with some occasional really bad flare-ups, or it just gets worse some days because you overdid it, whatnot, then you need something a lot more than just a spiritual, healthy walk with God and forecasting the days ahead. You need something a little bit teensy bit stronger and a little bit more helpful physically, and that's when I rely on alternative medicine. I can be prescribed every fucking prescription out there for pain. That's at my disposal if I want. I have a pain doctor. I have a surgeon that is ready to do more surgeries because I have a disease where I'm going to need more fusions. I've already had neck fusions. I have more in my future. I have options if I want to take prescription options. But I choose not to. I choose not to because of the side effects, the damage that those drugs cause. And you weigh your options here. And I'm not saying that these natural alternatives are for everybody. I think it, recreationally is fine and great for an occasional thing, like if you're going to go to a party or a rave or whatever, Coachella. But otherwise, if you need it for medical purposes, it's something that it's like the lesser of evils. There's some negative things to things like kratom, or nothing really negative. Oh, yeah, there's one thing negative about CBD, and that's the fact that you want to eat everything in your kitchen. So I would consider that a major negative thing. But you weigh your options here. So I naturally, of course, study and try a variety of natural alternatives that help with the things that I need help with. I don't have options of just not taking anything or taking breaks, which I've already talked about that. We've been there, done that. I'm not going to kick the dead horse. Years ago, there was a man who came out with Rick Simpson oil. Really huge, popular for a little bit because it helped take away his cancer. That's when the research really started taking off about what cannabis can do for cancer patients. Even my mother, towards the end of her life, at that point it was kind of too late. Towards the end of her life, she tried it, but it was, really just to help with the pain at that point and help go out nicely in a way, right? Something you want to try the minute you have the first start, but by the time they caught it, it was already at stage 4. But there are natural alternatives out there that are very much just focused on pain, that help with your pain. One of it being kratom, which gets a bad rep because pot shops or, liquor stores or 7-Eleven type places carry kratom, and it's so frowned upon because of that. But if someone was to actually try it, they'd be like, seriously, this is what all the hullabaloo is about? I feel stupid. Yes, you should. It is a very natural, subtle alternative that helps with pain. It's not really a mind-altering thing unless you take like liquid extract, and then it can be that way, and then it could be addicting. Then you can get more of that euphoria that people talk about. And it's mainly just a mood boost, right? Just mental oomph. Very similar to people that are on Prozac, you get that Prozac smile. A little similar to that. You just feel good, but it's more of Prozac, you build into the SSRIs. This is more of an instant thing that kicks in, right? So it's a little bit different in that regard. But for me, I take small doses for the pain, and that's all I'm wanting the benefits to be for me, because I have so many things to juggle. And it's been great, and that is a big key of keeping my pain at bay. I have bad pain days, it's inevitable, but all of these little things I do to keep my day going as smoothly as possible, taking care of my to-do lists, and just trying to live life to the fullest, but yet while holding or juggling all that shit that life throws at us, right? Some of it is not avoidable. So what do you do to make the most of it or take the edge off? Pretty much everything I just said in this video. So I figured it might be interesting to watch a day in my life from start to finish. Mainly the key points that are probably the big to-dos off my list, why I do them. I'll not bore you with the in-between bullshit of writing, policies or, grants or whatever. But I will take you through the key parts of how a mom juggling a career and a disease, chronic illness, that's actually a painful one, and you're a mom and you have a disabled husband, veteran, military. How do I juggle all that shit and keep a healthy spiritual walk and relationship with God? This is kind of going to show you how I do it.